Right, Max, it's been a long time coming. Been involved with the club since 2016, coming up to 10 years now. We've not done this in the past, and we've always kind of held off from doing things like this. So I think the first question is, why now?
I think, obviously, after, has it been 9 years?
Yeah.
With the club. Time we give a little bit back to the people behind the scenes, the supporters. I think it's easier to do than an after-match interview where it's just you've won, you've lost, you've drawn. The normally emotion behind it. I think it's nice to sit down and sort of go through 300 games and the journey, sort of in our words. I say our because obviously you've been part of it as well. So I think that's why. And like I say, because give a bit back to the people. The reason I've not done it before is because I don't want it to be about me. The manager, call it what you want, but I don't want it to be about me because I'm big on it be collective as a group, everybody, and that's people from day one all the way through to sort of this season. So 9 years is a long time. Do you know what I mean? So I'm careful to make sure, to try not to miss people out and do things correctly, if you like.
I mean, you've said 300 games as a manager, but you've done 378 games within the club. Most people don't know you played for us.
378?
378 with 203 wins you've been a part of as a player, manager, and as a coach for one season.
Yeah.
Best place to start is what made you come to the club in the first place as a player, and then what was that experience like? I mean, I watched it.
Jack Bennett. You can blame Jack Bennett. Obviously he's a friend of mine. Wasn't doing anything. Sort of lost the enthusiasm for football. The drive, if you like. I mean, I've been doing it since the age of 5. Obviously, played at a decent standard. Then you sort of lose when you're doing it every day. You lose that sort of enthusiasm for it. But I'm sure Bob spoke to my wife. She'll tell you I need structure, and that was the biggest thing at that time. I needed a bit of structure. The Tuesday, the Thursday, the Saturday, because without that, I tend to go a bit off grid, if you like.
Yeah. I mean, you walked into your first game at Winslow, and your last one against Woodson Park, and then the following season, you went straight into coaching. So, where did that come about? And did you have plans for coaching beforehand, or came up sort of naturally?
I'll be honest, none of it was planned. None of it was planned. The whole journey, none of it's been planned. It's just been game by game, win by win. I don't plan, we need to get promoted. I didn't, it was like, do you want to come and play football? Yeah, okay, fine. I think that first season, was it the Vars quarter-final that season?
Yeah.
That got beat Cleethorpes, was it?
Uh-huh.
That was a big season. I think we finished 4th in the league at step 6 with the group we had, obviously playing, the likes of Pagey, Gradders, Danny Bennell, Wayne, Laufey was there. They were sort of key lads to that, and I think we finished 4th, but did well in the Vars. But I remember that Cleethorpes game, and I remember speaking to your dad saying that's the sort of standard we need to be at, because I think it was at Hamwell on a Sunday. I remember them coming on the bus. They had bloody hurdles to jump over in the warm-up. Water bottles, footballs, all the things that you'd expect of a proper outfit. And that's what I felt we were sort of lacking and missing at that time. But I still use that as a yardstick almost like to this day. So I think they got to the final that year, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
Got beat, I think, by South Shields in the final, but I used that as a yardstick, and I think the next season, Paul, the manager at the time, wanted me to still carry on playing, but I knew my body was packing up, I couldn't do it. So I wanted to draw a line. The lads still were like play, but I always thought the decision was easy for me because when you play on a Saturday and you can't put your socks on properly on a Sunday, and you know you're in pain for most of the week, I knew it was the time to sort of jack it in. So I, got offered a coaching role, which again was not something I really thought about, but the group was good. We did okay the season before, so it just seemed natural to stay and be a part of it.
I mean, the season you jumped into coaching, I know you stepped into being the actual manager for periods of that season as well, but it was the first, I think we finished top of the league, and that was the first time in nearly 100 years, or around that mark. So that took us from pretty much, no disrespect, from the bottom step in the pyramid, or near the bottom. And that was the first stepping stone in sort of your coaching journey, and then that's led on to everything that's happened since.
Yeah.
So what was coaching like? Or
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I was coaching. Like I say, I like balls, bibs and cones and mess about. I was going to swear, but I like messing about. But, Paul's got to take credit. He was the one that put the team together. He, put a good squad of players. Yes, obviously, the budget was there to enable him to do that. But, it's not easy. I think we went 26, 27 games in a row without losing.
Yeah.
I think the first game we lost, we were 2-0 up at Burnham against Enfield Borough, was it? I think it was. Game got called off or postponed for 15 minutes when they fixed the floodlights because they went out. The guy come back, scored a hat-trick, lost 3-2. We lost that well after Christmas, like February or something like that. So no, he deserves a lot of credit for that. But then obviously things happened. Things got himself in bother. And the last few games, I don't know how many it was, but it was a chance to sort of step in and help get the group over the line. But for me personally, it was nothing different because I've been doing it anyway for the previous. It was just a case of step in and carry on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. But no, it was good. Nice, always nice to win. Leagues, difficult to win leagues, so it was good to do that. And then obviously the summer happened.
yeah, I mean now we're in your 7th season as a manager. 5 if you minus. 7th as a manager, 5 if you minus the COVID years, which knocked out 2 seasons. But during that summer, did you expect to become the manager, or was that on your radar, or did it kind of come out of the blue? Because I was in and around the conversations of the thought process behind it, and there wasn't much thought that went into it, to be honest. It was kind of, we knew it was right.
I got called from your dad. I'll be honest, I thought I was getting a sack. Because I'd running with a few people. It was what it was at the time with the manager not being around and stuff like that. And I knew there was sort of friction. But yeah, when I got the call, I just thought it was like a thank you, but see you later. But then I got, made clear that the manager's not there anymore, and it was like, do you want a job? And I'll be honest, I did feel uneasy at the time because being brought in by a manager to then take the job was not obviously how I planned it, but it was sort of more for me, if I don't take it, the group will break up. Someone else is going to get a good like gig, if you like, a good job. And I didn't want to see like the good work and stuff that we've had like go to waste. But yeah, it was not something I'd ever thought of. I didn't think I'd be sort of cut out for management, if you like, because I'm not your stereotypical manager, if you like. But it's just something that sort of fell into my lap, and I've sort of run with it, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say stereotypical manager because I've had a lot of team talks, and it boils down to sort of your phrase of just run it, hit it and kick it. That's the main message of just keeping it simple. I think every game that I've watched, that's pretty much your ethos. Keep it simple, work hard, and it's, from what I saw of the way you played, it was always just work hard, put the effort in, and good things will come.
I feel that's like anything. Don't complicate it. Football for me, it's not difficult. And I say to the boys even now, all this new age stuff, the flicks and bullshit, like the tricks. They're good, but ultimately, what makes a good football player? You've got to be fit, able to run, head, kick, pass, probably shoot if you can cross it. And you're adding strings to your bow. And if you can do you know, 5, 6, 7 of them to a decent standard, you'll do well.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing's like your application. You got to like want to do it. I think now it's changed a little bit. You know, this season I feel out of all of them is the one I've sort of struggled with the most, due to, you know, upheaval in squads. We're in that sort of transition period again, after a success of last season. So yeah, it's just one of them things that you have to sort of adapt and get on with.
Yeah. I mean, what was the first season like, just before COVID? Obviously, no one knew COVID was coming, but for you, that was your first time as being a manager.
What was that? Step 5?
That was at Step 5, the Combined Counties Premier Division. Finished 4th that year.
I don't think we didn't win a game for the first 3, did we?
Yeah, it was difficult.
Yeah, I did. I remember thinking, what is this? What did we do? We went to Balham, I think was the first game.
I can't remember the first game.
It was Balham at Collinswood. I remember Saturday got beat 2-0. And then we played someone else. And I remember we didn't win for like the first 3 games. And I remember thinking, maybe I'm not got out for this. But, you know, suddenly you win your game and you're like, okay, fine. I mean, Wazza was a massive influence on me there.
Yeah.
Because again, I was young. Like I say, I come into the club a bit reckless. He was sort of massive calming influence on me. You know, older head experience, played in the league and stuff. So he knows, and he was massive for me to sort of, you know, set out what we wanted to do, and you know, and I still do it now. Like you've got all these stats and stuff. I couldn't tell you like any of them because I don't. Maybe when I finish and I don't do it anymore, I look back and be like, yeah, that's fine, and you know, that's nice. But you're always almost obsessed with the next one. What's the next? What's next?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, with like I say, with Wazza, we didn't know anything about it. Didn't know the level. The team got pulled apart. A lot of the lads went with Paul to North Greenford at the time. Obviously, he brought them into Southall, so you know I didn't begrudge anybody that. But yeah, we were literally starting from scratch. Do you remember in the field at
Rectory? Yeah.
We were literally inviting people off Twitter.
Yeah.
Hello, who wants to come play for Southall? And we were literally pulling in all sorts, weren't we?
Yeah. And that was like blank slate entirely.
It was bad at times. We had a lad who got beat, I think, pre-season heavily, 5 or 6. He was shy, but he's coming after telling me after having a stinker he's not a left winger, he's a right winger. But you know, that was sort of what you had to deal with at that time. You know, Irish Paul, lad.
Yeah.
He nearly got thrown in the canal, winding us up. Like Bennett doing that, but. You know, lads turn up to training with bottles of Coke and stuff like that, and that's I'm thinking like, is this how it should be?
Yeah.
But you know, luckily you find your feet. You know, we started picking up some points. You know, credit to sort of Bennett and Hopi and you know Darian and people like that. They've been here they were there with me from the start. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, following on from that, I think I had 2 years of COVID, which kind of knocked the whole timeline out of shape. So I wouldn't say there was much that happened in that period, but season after, I think a lot of people are going to remember that even though we finished second, it was
What was that? Step 5.
Step 5 with that changing room, the debrief after, and sort of going on a winning streak that lasted near enough the whole season.
Well, I'd say obviously the COVID. You know, people moan about it, but I felt that enabled us, especially me, to almost practice.
Yeah.
We were doing okay in the league, but you know, with no end result to it, we were still winning games. You were still putting foundations in place. You were still doing bits and pieces to get to that point. And obviously, by the time the next season started and COVID cleared up, we'd had effectively nearly 3 seasons at Step 5 then. And you know, you use it, like I said about the Cleethorpes game before, I used them as a yardstick. And then you're looking at obviously the decent teams that have got out of the Step 5, but it was tough because, what was it, 1 went up, definitely. You had Hamworth Villa who were absolutely on fire, and then, you know, we were sort of that second pack with some other teams that obviously wanted to get promoted. You know, I think it's right what they've done now in terms of playoffs. You know, you're looking at the Step 5, there's some decent teams in that league, and they're all having a go because you've got that 4 plays cushion.
Yeah.
But effectively, we got up by chasing Hamworth, who went the season unbeaten. And obviously, I think they went out of the Vars early, so they had that advantage. They were getting games on when we were getting games called off, so we ended up loads of points behind. And yeah, because obviously the Vars and that took over, but you wouldn't change that because that season was unbelievable, wasn't it? I think for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, what was your best memory from that season?
I couldn't obviously pick a best.
Because for me, it was like every single week
I couldn't
was something new.
like pinpoint a best. It was, because you're getting told like people, don't sign this one, don't sign that. He's mad, he's this, he's that, he won't turn up. And I'm just like, okay, fine, but I try to take people as I find them for sort of face value. But yeah, that dressing room was full of characters, and I think that's what you need.
Yeah.
It's a shame them lads they're not 10 years younger, and I don't think those sort of characters sort of exist anymore in the game. I don't know, but I'd like to fucking find a few.
Yeah.
But you go through the team, Barkley in goal. I've known him since he was 16.
Yeah.
He was good at 16. Then Nolan, he is what he is. But for that level, he was unbelievable. Probably the best right back in the league. Piercy, unbelievable. Lewis Daly, people like that.
Yeah.
Sniffles coming. I signed Sniffles from the Labour ward. When I was sitting on a Friday, my missus had the baby on the Sunday. Sniffles got signed on the Labour ward on the Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
He's 100 games in now, something like that. And bit by bit, we just pulled in the right lads. Normally they're strays off the street that others couldn't really or didn't want to deal with. You have Macca, never really playing. He sort of fell into our lap. He's like one of our best mates now. Putts, obviously, Steady, Henners. You can go through the whole group.
Yeah.
Hope he's still there. Darian. That group. We got Lenny, Ant. Them boys were.
Jack Woods.
I can't forget him. Like I say, them boys and the dressing room. It's like nothing I've ever seen before in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people that will privy to it will sort of testify. We were getting things thrown in our way every week. Games called off. I mean, I can say the team kind of Wembley.
Yeah.
Went to the Wembley game. They said waterlogged pitch. I was doing nothing that day. Went down to the pitch. It wasn't waterlogged. The guys there, the grounds. He's got the ump that I'm in. He's been rumbled basically. So that was the story behind the inflatables after we went there and won that. Games were getting called off left, right and centre, but I just said to the boys, look, people want, they're desperate to see us sort of trip up, and I said it's not happening because the group we had was too good.
Yeah.
It goes against.
I think that season we had a lot of confidence as well.
But it goes against. It was good lads. There was no tactics. There was no, 3-box-2 and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
It was literally a go and do your job. Like you're here, you're part of the group. Go do your job and trust the process, and that's all we did. And then with that and the togetherness, that's the biggest thing, togetherness.
Yeah.
You get that, you're flying, and we had it. People were saying at the time, lucky on penalties, it was a lottery. It's not. We were well drilled.
Yeah.
We knew. You got one of the best goalkeepers at saving penalties, and then you had lads that were well drilled because we'd done it so many times. You knew the order. Obviously, the only way the order went to shit was when the Hamworth game.
Yeah.
And I still look back. That's the one that gets me now. Even sort of to this day, you think you say don't have regrets and that. It's not regrets, but what could have been. I think 89th minute we win 1-0.
Yeah. 89th minute, I think 92nd or 93rd.
Yeah. Arguably, set piece wasn't. But the ball goes in the goal, and then. We had, I think, Putts was injured or suspended.
Yeah.
Henners was out. So there's 2 of your penalty takers. Who was it then? We went to...
I think Driver scored. Penalty.
Driver, Macca. I can't remember the others. Nolan went off injured that game as well. So there's the
Broken leg.
Lenny had a chance to put us ahead in the shootout, but he hit the post. And then obviously it went down to Frank. Yeah, he missed, but it's what it is. And then to pick themselves up, that group, we were still in all the cups, weren't we?
Yeah.
Running into the end of the season, trying to win on points per game.
it's like Tuesday, Thursday, but we were like, no, sod it, we'll do Tuesday, Wednesday. And everyone was like, you're nuts. But I was like, no, I know the group. There's no way they're going to go Tuesday, have the day off, and then go Thursday. So we were like Tuesday, Wednesday, and then obviously
Thursday
Saturday.
recover.
Yeah, just Tuesday, Thursday, we didn't even train, did we? Just go get that done and then go from there. So, no, that like I say, is the best dressing room I've been in, because Saturday night you go out and the lads, 12 of us out. Like none of this texting now, team night out. Just every Saturday the lads were out. You know, I think Nolan made the mistake once he booked James Bond for the Saturday evening. Obviously we won the game or whatever we did, and then he obviously didn't make James Bond. He's promised his missus. She's probably sat at home in a nice dress waiting to go to James Bond cinema, and he didn't turn up. So
we got a few phone calls some evenings from pubs and bars calling us up saying your players are all over the place, but
I heard about that.
It's part of the fun.
Someone did say, yeah, I remember something carved on it or something. And there was fireworks up there. Fireworks and people's wash bags. The biggest one for me was funny. We had a cup game at Uxbridge. What was it? We were 3-0 up, half time.
Yeah.
3 up at half time. And I remember going in there, and Macca was getting a rub. Putts and all the boys were in there, and you're trying to do a team talk. Like, I'm thinking, because of the fixture congestion, we would have had to play Hamwell in the final on the next Wednesday, which was crazy. So I was just like, this is getting ridiculous now. And to be fair, Hamwell won a roll at that time. I didn't really fancy going to Enfield and getting a bit of a, another game that we didn't need. So we got into half time 3-0 up. The boys were just laughing. Macca's there, mate. It's just the boys just laughing. It's like, look, we might need to put the brakes on this. I think we ended up drawing 3-3 in the end, and Steady missed a penalty. I forgot to mention Steady is not
Steady big player.
Unbelievable for us. He scored some great
Army
goals.
fit.
Yeah, he used to be. Yeah, he scored some unbelievable goals for us.
So that season, I think we'll just keep calling it that season because we all remember it for different reasons. Whether you're a player, manager, or in the backroom staff. But there were some big players. Steady, you've already mentioned. Hopi, Hennigan with a lot of free kicks that season. Some crazy goals. You had people like Jack Roper knocking about, crashing around. You've already mentioned the defence, and you've mentioned one of the biggest games, which was Hamworthy. But I think what most people are going to remember it for is the changing room. Like you said, the nights out, leading up to games, even not having to do a team talk of just pretty much walking in, get ready and get onto the pitch. But from that season, I think the difficult part overall as a club was just that final 4 or 5 weeks where it came down to points per game, having to play 3 games every single week. Sometimes I think we even did 4, if I remember correct. Tough conditions, and then we end up getting promoted. And what was that feeling like? Because that was your first promotion under your management entirely.
I'd say sort of relief.
Yeah.
You work hard to get to that point. No one was really sure. Everyone was adding it up, doing their own bits and pieces, and but you're not sure until you're sure. And like you say, there's no safety net like there is now with the playoffs. It was in or out, and you're chasing a team, like I said, that are unbeaten all season. You've gambled, but you've paid the cup competitions the respect they deserve. I think we got to a cup final that year, did we, Walton?
Final.
Obviously the VARs took a lot out of us. The fixture pile up, there was a lot that went against us that year, but like I say, the momentum's massive, and momentum in football is a big thing. And like I say, we would have played every night of the week because the group was that good in terms of the characters. Yes, they're good footballers, but we just didn't all enjoy it and love being about. Not one 7-dayer got put in that season. I don't think, did it? Nobody put a 7-dayer in for anybody. Money wasn't mentioned. I want more money. There was none of that. It was literally turn up, play, get what's there, get what's given, everyone are fair, and just enjoy yourself. And the biggest thing was like do your job, because the characters get looked at, but you forget, you go for that group, they're good footballers, they're good players, you know. And you know, maybe the exception of Ant, but no, it just clicked, and when it clicked, but you know, and I knew, and then the sad thing is, you say, what was it like? I knew the group had to break up, because we couldn't carry on doing what we were doing.
No.
We couldn't carry on going out all the time and you know, doing the bits and pieces that the lads were doing. The age range of the group was old, bar maybe Hopi. Who's obviously still going now, but you know, the lads, and I think they knew it. There's a shelf life, and we moved to Burnham, which was, you know, again a different ball game, because you're on an Astro now. Some of the lads, obviously, I think Steady moved on to Amersham, Potts left, Macca went. So yeah, we missed a few to start the season at step 4, and again it was similar to the step 5 season. You're going into the unknown. And not really knowing, and you're learning on the job, and that's what we did. I think we went to Merstham first game. Was that Hennigan 2 free kicks, wasn't it?
I think that was the first season or season after. It's one of the two.
First season at 4.
First season.
It was first season at 4. I remember first game, because you know, there's some lads again, trialists that just, you know, trying to do what we can. But yeah, he's put 2 free kicks, and they were fancy because they'd just come down. Yeah. And then it was just a case of, I think we drew a lot of games that year.
Drew a lot of games. Ended up finishing 10th, which was pretty good considering.
Yeah, of course. So I remember looking at it. You know, the fixtures come out and everyone's like looking, and I remember looking, thinking like, where are we going to get 40 points from? Like, where are we going to be safe at this level? And you know, I think we picked up a few points early on, which was obviously good. And then sort of again, momentum sort of carried us through. But then that's when the new sort of group started to form.
Yeah, I think that season was good one just to stay in the league and then finish rebuilding over that season, because then the season after we've reached the playoffs, and I don't think anyone expected us to do that. I don't know if we expected to do that. We kind of just rode the wave, really. But what was that season like? Because there was a lot of big signings that year as well, and
but again, I say
good influences.
It's momentum. You know, we were on a roll, and you know, you win games similar to the lads at the top now. You know, it's easy when you're winning games. People want to come be part of it. You know, we got some good young lads in the summer. You know, Dimi, Josh, Abdul, they were good for us. You know, Jaden was firing. He finished that season strong, so he come in, sort of hit the ground running. You know, we still had the old school, if you like, of, you know, I know Hope is young, but him, Anthony, you know, Nolan was still around, Henners. So when it all sort of clicked and merged, I mean, as we started winning games, we had Billy. Bill was a big player for us. Brendan came in, obviously, to help us.
Brendan came in at Christmas.
Yeah, again, because we were in a decent position. I think that was the cup run against Hampton. We got beat. Yeah. The geezer hit a screamer, didn't he? Yeah. So, you know, we were in a good place. I think the Astro helped us at Burnham. It allowed us to like actually play a bit of football. And maybe teams didn't see us coming, I don't know. I wouldn't say they didn't take us seriously, but they didn't see it. They didn't see us coming, or didn't maybe see us as a threat. And, you know, when they take your eye off, you know, we did okay. You know, whereas maybe this year, because of last year, we're expected to teams to maybe be better, and you know, I'll be honest, I think we've underachieved.
Yeah. But I think that season in the playoff run, it had that same feeling of turn up and kind of almost expected to win, just with the amount of momentum behind us. It was sort of every game we knew we were going to score 2-3 goals.
Well, I don't know. I don't think
from
it
you,
like that.
From you, it'd be a completely different
feeling. Yeah, I mean, that's not for me. I mean, I remember sitting there, especially as it got closer. I mean, we lost, what was it? We didn't win in...
I think it was about 7 on the spin or something.
And I remember people, obviously, again, people coming out and the wheels were falling off and this and that, and we're hearing, obviously I won't say his name, we heard a manager through the wall at Burnham, because it's like paper thin. They've gone, their arseholes are going, they're flapping, today we finish them. I didn't need to say anything. Yeah. You know, I think then we come in, they were 3-0 down at half time, because, you know, that was obviously what he thought, and I think it pissed a few people off. So then before United, we were going to, you know, certain games and you know, just picking up points. But I think, you know, you talk about things balance themselves out. We've played better games this year, played better in terms of performances and lost. Whereas last year we were picking up points. We had no real right to sort of pick up. But like you say, I guess it just balances itself out.
Did have quite a lot of luck as well.
Of course, I think you need that, you know, injury, suspensions, all that sort of stuff. This year has obviously not been great for us.
Yeah.
You know, Aziz, Ant's been out for a bit. You know, they're important players for us.
Yeah. I mean, you would say probably this has been your toughest year.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, but you know, I think anyone that got half a brain, you know, when you got the teams coming into the league that you have, you know, if you were to sit now and draw out the league table, you start the season, if you were to draw out that league table and go, right, you'd have us a few places higher maybe? Yeah. We'd be a bit higher. I wouldn't say we'd be in playoffs because of the sort of the big hitters were sort of in there with now, you know. You look at Farnham, they're a machine. Yeah. I think the chairman, he does a good job there. He's obviously bright, he's successful, he's just transferred that to the football, and listen, they're setting a sort of standard at the level, so, you know, good luck to them. I think they'll win it, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, at the time we're recording this, they might win it tonight, so...
Yeah, I say good luck to them. They do everything sort of right, and yeah, I think no one can argue what 15 points ahead of everyone else. Yeah. Fair play to them.
I mean, one thing that most people probably don't appreciate is you've done this whole journey as a player all the way through to 7th year now as manager, with the club not having all the facilities compared to other clubs, and yet we've still gotten promotions, cup runs, everything heading in the right direction. And I think people think there's some secret ingredient, which we probably don't know what it is, but seems like there is something good happening. And looking forward to the future, coming closer back to Southall for the first time in 31, 32 years, what do you see happening now for next season and then beyond that?
I honestly think staying in the league is the first. I mean, looking at it now, we've got some big teams in and around the relegation zones, level above. If they all do come down again, it's another difficult season. You know, Farnham, yes, will go up. One of the others will go up, but you're going to get 2, 3, maybe 4 that come down. And again, it's different. The game's moving. Obviously, the money in the game's difficult. You know, I don't really want to compete with it. You know, having lads on massive money, I think, creates its own problems. You know, so I just think, we carry on sort of in our own lane, and you know. But like I say, I've almost enjoyed this part now. You know, relaxed. I mean, last season was chaos, and there's things people wouldn't even know that the stuff I was doing away from football to you know, in my own life. Like I say, I was like, my missus was in hospital for weeks at a time because with my little one, and my aunt wasn't well. My parents are not. They live in Essex. They weren't around, you know, as all the time. So, you know, there's a lot falling on me. So, you know, when people say to you, "Oh, there's a 7-day come in for this," I'm really not asked, because that's not sort of real life. If whoever wants to go, they can go. And yeah, we were just riding across the wave, which made it easy. But yeah, it's, like I say, maybe this season, you know, most of it, I'd say, is probably down to me. I didn't recruit right in the summer. But again, the time I sort of had, because, what was it, the playoff semi-final, I think we lost that a week later. My wife's given birth, so I've got you know, another little girl. So it was difficult. Like I say, it was tough. But I've sort of enjoyed this time now to be sort of safe. Like I've said, you know, people talk relegation and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't want to preempt anything, but you know, I wouldn't have that. I haven't come this sort of far to drop out of a league over 42 games. You know, we've got too much about us to do that. But you know, we'll see. I've enjoyed sort of this time now to sort of not switch off, but relax a little bit more. You know, and just let the players sort of do their thing. Which, you know, to be fair, they're doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've noticed from when you were a player all the way to being a manager, that failure is not an option. It's always put in the hard work, and results will come.
I just think, like, why? And then you ask people, like players, like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Some of them, like, I promise, that you just speak to them and they're just vacant. They don't get it, but you know, they might as well go shopping with their missus at the weekend, because when you're losing, they just don't look like it bothers them. But first and foremost, like, call me what you want, but I'm here to win. Yeah. You know, I'm here to try and win as many games as I can, and it doesn't matter who it is or what. You're gonna come unstuck, but you know, like this season, I'll be honest, it's annoyed me because the amount of teams knock on our door when they win. How many games have we lost this season? 13, 14, 15?
It's quite a few.
I've never lost so many games, but I don't think, not as a manager, definitely not. But like I say, you're swimming in with big fish, so you're gonna. I'm not stupid. You're gonna lose games, but you know, I just think it's at times been too easy to get beat and accept it, and it just don't sit right with me.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that's what motivates you as well, just the need to win.
Yeah, stop pricks knocking on my door. Yeah. Yeah, just try and win and do right by, you know, yourself, your dad, obviously the supporters. I think there's you've got an obligation, you've got responsibility. Again, call me old-fashioned and that, but you're here to represent the football club. And at the end of the day, they pay you wages. And I say this to players, I argue with Ant all the time about it, about like money and stuff like that. You know, he's like, oh, they should get paid. I'm like, yeah, but if I'm a bricklayer and I go build a brick wall and it falls down 10 minutes later, do you expect to get paid? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And anyway, he's like, oh, but if we play well, if I play really well, you're going to pay me double. And it's just like I say, it's that. You know, I just think you've got an obligation there to do the right thing by the people that employ you. Have a bit of pride in what you're doing. You know, pride in yourself for whatever reason you're doing it, family or you know, I think it's important that you come and do the right things.
Yeah, I think Ant deserves like a probably honourable mention, because everything you talk about, he plays exactly that way.
Yeah, him, but again, Ant, you know, I love Ant, and I love all them boys. I still speak to them like now, and no one will take what we did away from us. Yeah. You know, and I'll be honest, the way the game's going now, you know, part of me, I do miss obviously how things were, but you can't be there looking back and dwelling. That was a great time. It was, but what are you gonna do? Sit and celebrate that? This is what I mean. All these stats and stuff, they're great to sit and look at, but I'm focused. We've got to go to Moneyfields on Saturday. Yeah. And that's all I know. Like, I couldn't tell you who we play after that, because I'm just like, right, I break it down week by week, game by game, section by section, and that's it. And then you see where we're at. That's what I did last year.
I think we've done that every year. Just next
I think the turning point was us sitting in Guernsey, wasn't it? When we sat there, and I think Rains Park dropped points at Met Police. Yeah. And then obviously people started to really believe then. We went to Guernsey, won that game, and then obviously it started to sort of snowball from there. Yeah. So no, it was good.
Yeah. So outside of football, I mean, I don't think anyone knows anything about you if they don't know you outside of football. Some of the pressures you have to deal with, things that you do in your spare time. I think a lot of players, they see you on a game day, they'll either be in a good mood or you'll be angry at certain points.
That depends on them, doesn't it?
Depends on them. So it's their fault either way, to be honest. But outside of football, if you're going to say something about yourself or what you like to do, because from my personal experience, when players come in, first thing they normally think is, oh wow, Max is quite intimidating. He's got quite high standards, but at the same time, he's like talking to your best mate. So I feel like people actually don't know you. I've known you now for over 10 years, so.
I think, I say have a balance is important. You know, I'm lucky. I was a wife of two young girls. So outside of football now, I don't, you know, of course you're on the phone and stuff, but I think Christmas was tough because we lost to was it Hayes and then Leatherhead. It too, bang bang, and my mum got the ump with me because I was in a shit mood. But other than so much that time this season, I just think having kids and stuff like now, you can detach a lot more. I used to be bad at losing as a player, like bad. I used to lose and go out and get drunk for like 2 days. Yeah. But worked out you couldn't handle stuff like that, you know. Training an hour when I join in, I don't like losing. It doesn't matter, it could be anything. But if you're going to do it, just try and do it properly, and if you lose, at least have a go doing it. But yeah, what do I do outside? Not a lot, to be fair. Sit at home, chill with the girls, get a couple of Guinnesses maybe with the boys here and there when I can, but quite simple, you know. I think it comes of age. You know, I used to, when we were out with the boys, it was good, but you know, things have changed. You know, I've got responsibilities now. They're grown up, I guess.
And then what would you think is next for you as a manager?
Just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Do better than this year. You know, like I said, I feel we've underachieved. You know, I know games have been tight, bar 1 or 2. We haven't really been beat heavily, but we need to be better in the moments, and that's the players. You know, I think we need to look at things and have a bit of a rebuild in the summer. You know, hopefully a new ground share in place, and then we can, you know, look to really put down things that we can look to at least compete with the lads and the teams that we've got to play against, because there's no hiding from it. You can't, you know, season's going to kick off. Your fixture list comes out, you've got to go for these places. If you're not ready, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, that's 300 games in then, as a manager. 378 in total, like we said.
Yeah.
203 wins out of them, so it's a very good record. And then, yeah, going to wind down this season, and then I guess it's going to be a busy summer.
Yeah, it will be. We've got a lot to do, got a lot of work. But like I say, I've enjoyed it. And you know, while I'm here, I just, you know, thank your dad, yourself, and you know, the supporters and that, because it's the people that sort of make it. You know, there's been opportunities to maybe go elsewhere, but you know, it's just not felt right to me. You know, it's not right for at the time. You know, and I just feel like, you know, I still believe in what we're trying to do, and I know you guys do as well. So I think, you know, it's important that we do you know, try and keep moving forward. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, we've all got that hunger to succeed and to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the club, how do you even get into football? Because your whole life seems to be based around it.
It's my dad, obviously my dad. I've got an older brother, I've got a younger brother. My sister, she's like a brother. So. Yeah, just always playing in the garden, messing about, over the field and stuff. And through school, just playing at school.
Because most people don't even know who you've played for.
I don't really talk about it, you know. Ask Pats, he'll tell you. I never really speak about it. And obviously I think they'd never know. But no, yeah, just playing like as you do. Most kids play through school and stuff like that. Sunday team, I was at Bessenby Park Rangers. Yeah, Bessenby Park Rangers. And then, I don't know how it come about. Playing for the borough.
Yeah.
We used to play for like the Hill in the borough team, the district or whatever it was called. And then, I got a call, do I want to go on trial at Luton? And I was, yeah, of course. Went up there, done a 6-week trial. And sort of took off from there, really. I signed, I think I was about 12.
I mean, a lot of people ask me what position you played. I just said everywhere.
It's different, isn't it? Like different age groups, they sort of, that's what I try to do now with our lads. Like, they look at me and I say, oh yeah, go and play here or that. I'm a left back. Like, no, go and do this because it'll help you in your sort of your development. Position-wise, like I started off centre midfield. No, striker as a kid. Striker, used to score a few goals. Just gradually get moved back, didn't you? Went to centre mid. Yeah. That's where I got picked up, running around, just tackling people. Then, obviously, as you get signed and you've got to play, it's, you know, you've got to sort of adapt and be ready. Like different age groups. I was 13 playing under 15s, under 15 then playing under 19s. 18 playing reserves, and you like I say, you've got to be able to adapt, and I think they do it to sort of protect you. You know, I was not big enough or strong enough to be playing centre half in the reserve team at Luton, aged 18.
Yeah.
So they go play right back, and yeah, we did okay there. Yeah, I come through sort of there, got to probably the fringe of the first team squad, got released the year that they went to the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 2002, something like that.
Yeah.
Easy conversation. I knew it was happening because obviously in my age group, well, a year above me was sort of Kevin Foley, Curtis Davis. My age group was Leon Barnett. Obviously, they'd all gone on and played in the Premier League, so you're in good company. And you know, I just knew the squads were getting picked. I was getting sort of left out, so I sort of forced a meeting. And I went and spoke to the first team manager at the time, was Mike Newell. So I said to him, "Look, mate, what's happening?" Like, and he was like, "Look, basically, we're going to the championship. We've got no real first team experience. It's basically see you later." I think he said to me like Grimsby were keen or something like that. But you know, by then I was just like, "Mate, I just want to go home." So I just packed all my stuff, went back to my digs at the time, cleared all my stuff out, and that was pretty much it. I went to Northwood, I think. Yeah. That was interesting. Southern Premier at the time. Yeah. So yes, that was mad dressing room, but you know, in my head, work your way back up, but you know, injuries and lifestyle and all that sort of got in the way, and before you know it, you're sort of out the picture and you know, forgotten, if you like. But you know, a lot of that was my doing. Like I said, I was reckless as I was growing up. But then I went to Uxbridge, played a few years there. We did all right there, got to playoffs and stuff like that. But it was just like, a good group of lads there. Then, like I said at the beginning, I've sort of drifted away and just stopped. You know, injuries sort of took its toll. I wasn't able to do as much as I wanted to do. But then, sort of I spoke to Jack, and this sort of come at the right time. You know, I had a couple of years out, body felt okay. And yeah, that's where we're at.
I mean, you're doing well now. You're still the best player in training, so.
Yeah, so you won't look like it on here. I lost a bit of weight, and but no, yeah, like I say, just now it's about the girls, isn't it? Like my two kids. I want to be able to chase them round, and they don't want to like a big mess of a dad. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's more geared towards that. But training, I enjoy it. And again, when you're not playing, it's like someone takes something away from you, and you're able to do it again. It's you know, and I try and put that into the boys now. You know, when you're done, you're done. It's like you can't do it anymore. You know, I'd love to be able to play, but you can't. Not nearly 40. You can't. So, but no, training's a laugh.
Every training is. Oh God. Cool. Thank you very much, mate.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
First time on camera.
Are we done?
We're done.